It won't be long now until gardeners are back outside getting their hands dirty with spring planting. Here now is horticulture educator Ryan Pankow. Ryan, welcome back. And today we're talking about something that I think a lot of people are actually very interested in, which is the hardiness zones.
Yeah, or the cold hardiness zones, the plant hardiness zones. Different terms are thrown around for that. But what it tells us is what is our coldest temperature on average going to be each winter, and what plants will survive here. So that's why it matters.
Exactly, and I understand that those dates are actually shifting.
Yeah, they are shifting, and so USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, releases this map of the zones, and so they've redone that map last year, and they accounted for a newer weather data set. So it's the last 30 years of weather data from about the 90s to 2020, and so we've seen a little bit of a change in climate, a little bit of warming. So that's kind of good news for us on one front. We've shifted from what used to be Zone 5 for us, that goes from kind of central Illinois up to Chicago, to now Zone 6 has came up in our region. So we're now a Zone 6, and we can expect a warmer, lowest extreme temperature each winter of about -10 is what our expected range is now.
Okay, so Zone 5, now we're Zone 6, and that does have an impact on when you're choosing what you're going to put in your garden, when you're going to plant those things, what you're actually going to buy.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, one of the things that gardeners are thinking about right now that it has changed is our frost-free dates. So that's also a statistic calculated off historical weather data. And so if you look at that change in dates, this is kind of the map that you would see for the median date. So we were talking about this off air before this segment. Frost-free dates are kind of this weird concept, and they release a median date, so kind of the average. 1 in every 9 years date you can expect, and a 9 out of every 10 years date you can. So there's different ones. So I usually kind of say it's a range, and so in my mind, our frost-free dates have went from kind of right around the end of April back into the middle part of April.
Okay, so we
think about that.
Potentially could plant earlier, but at the end of the day, there is a risk factor that you have to take into account because we can always be surprised by the weather. The safest dates are the historical latest date, I would imagine. That would be the safest to plant after?
Yeah, and that's if you just absolutely cannot stand any kind of risk on your cold-sensitive plants. Now,
but then, yeah, you can't plant a lot if you're going to do that because you're starting to get into the summer heat as it's, we're going into May and June, and so.
I mean, I would need to look it up exactly to know the exact date, but I want to say it's like the end of May or something is our latest frost date that we know of. So
you do have to take into account what is your risk appetite. Maybe vary some of the things. Get aggressive on some things early and plant some things a little bit later just in case?
Yeah, well, I mean, some of the stuff this time of year you think about starting is cold tolerant. So, spinach, kale, beets I start really early, carrots. There's certain things that you don't have to worry about that frost.
So if there's a frost, those things will survive.
They'll make it, yeah.
Awesome.
Or you just kind of, you risk it a little bit with those early season veggies. But like you noted, if you wait till super late in the year, you don't get any of this cool season weather at the start of the year, and so you can't even grow some of these things when it's hot in the middle of summer.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the other consequences of the shifting hardiness zones, cold hardiness zones. Pests, how does that impact things like bugs and other things that might get into our gardens?
Yeah, great point. There's good and bad with this shift. So on the negative side, we may see increased pest pressure because now all those bugs down in Zone 6 that couldn't make it this far north because of the cold can get up here now. So things from the south that were pests we didn't experience before could come in. With both insects and plants, invasive species are predicted to increase because we've now added a new zone here in this part of the country. So, or a warmer zone for our area of the country. So those are some of the negatives.
Yeah, and so while you're able to grow more, Mother Nature's able to grow a lot more as well, and the bugs are going to take advantage of it. Now, we're almost out of time, but let's talk about an upcoming event you guys have here in March.
Oh, sure. Yeah, one of our big events is Garden Day over in Vermilion County, and that's hosted at the Danville Area Community College. And so that's on Saturday, March 9th. That is rolling right up. up. And this event usually does sell out. So I encourage folks to get more info, figure out who our speakers are this year, and get a ticket soon so it doesn't sell out.
Sign up fast. Space is limited, and if you would like to get more information, we will definitely connect you at our website. Thanks so much, Ryan, for joining us today. We will make sure that people have access to those maps and the other information we talked about on the cold hardiness zones at ciLiving.tv.